Welcome to my channel. This is Nikki of Nikki's Homemade Crafts, and today we're going to do part 2 of the Multi-Stitch Mystery Crochet Along that's Christmas themed. In part 1, you made these 2 pieces. You learned how to do the waistcoat stitch, also known as the split single crochet or crochet knit stitch, and then you also learned how to do the thermal single crochet stitch. Well, today you're going to learn 2 more stitches slash techniques, and you're gonna need both of these colors. So, quick reminder, the link for the pattern is down below in the description. You're gonna click right there. It's gonna take you over to our website, nikkishomemade.com, and right there, it's gonna take you right to the page where the pattern is located. You're gonna click, hopefully, on the table of contents so you don't have to scroll all the way down. So expand the table of content, click the written instructions of this part of the pattern, and jump right to it. Remember, it is free to view. You cannot print it, and it has ads. So if you're okay with that, then yay. If you prefer an ad-free and printable version of this pattern, including the graph you're going to need for part 2, come join the Crochet Club, because the Crochet Club has a lot of different perks for you. One of them being over 400 ad-free patterns. Yep, you heard that right. Many of them with checkoff boxes, so you can easily keep track of where you are in their pattern. And of course, it's printable and it has no ads whatsoever. You also have weekly live tutorials, and we meet twice a month on Zoom, and we have a blast in this community. It's a very positive and supportive community. It's like nothing else out there. It's absolutely amazing to be part of this crochet community. I hope you take a peek of it and check it out. You can join as a trial member if you just want to have access to this pattern and check out the Facebook group. But if you join as a full member, most TCC members, the Crochet Club members, are annual members. Over 80% are annual members. You can join as an annual, quarterly, or monthly member. All of those full members get access to all the perks. So regardless of which level, just the trial members only get access to this pattern right here. So check it out if this is something that you're interested in. Quick reminder, we're using bulky yarn. I'm using We Crochet Bravo bulky yarn, and this yarn is in red and in white, and I'm using about 1.5 skein of white, and I'm using 1 skein, full skein of red. So just that you know how much yarn we're going to use. Today we're going to use both colors. We're going to start with white alone, and then we're going to use both colors together on the second half of this tutorial. We're also going to use a 6mm crochet hook. In the very first part of this tutorial for part 2, you're going to learn the linked double crochet stitch, and we're going to make it only in white. Okay, we're just going to use white for that. In the second half of the tutorial, you're going to use both colors, and you're going to learn how to do regular overlay mosaic crochet. So it's the easiest way to crochet mosaic crochet. There are no specific color changes. You're just dropping your yarn at the beginning or at the end of the round and picking up the other colors. So there's no color transitions within a row or round at all, which is really cool. So let's do this. Let's first do the very first one, which is linked double crochet stitches. Start with a chain of 19. I'm going to make a little swatch right here just so you can see how it looks like. The very first 2 chains do not count as a stitch, so it's going to be 17 stitches per row. But we're going to use it as a foundation in order to get started on the stitch. Okay, so the actual first stitch goes into the 3rd chain from the hook, but we're going to crochet it all connected or linked with each other. Let me explain. Linked crochet is part of the Tunisian crochet family, but it uses a regular crochet hook, so it's kind of like a little short versions of the Tunisian simple stitches, but it is pretty much considered a double crochet stitch that is linked. And you'll see why it's called a double crochet stitch, because you really are crocheting double crochet stitches. They're just linked with each other. Okay, so let me show you. So as I said, you make a chain of 36. You start from the second chain from the hook. Okay, so instead of doing a yarn over, don't do that. You are going to go into the second chain from the hook. So I like to go in a back bump, but it's totally fine if you want to go in a back loop. Okay, go in the stitch, the second chain from the hook, yarn over and pull through. Now, this is your yarn over for that double crochet stitch. That one right there. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it is. Okay, that is your yarn over. It's just linked to a chain. Now go into the third chain from the hook or the next stitch over, yarn over and pull through. And now you can see you have 3 loops on your hook. You're finishing it up just like a double crochet stitch right here, okay? So that's where you can see it's a double crochet stitch. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is your double crochet stitch, but it is linked to your foundation chain right here, okay? So now you see that horizontal bar right there, and that is pretty much created because of the linking. We're going to take advantage of it. In fact, we're going to use it in order to crochet our linked double crochet stitch in the next stitch. So you're going to go into that loop. So instead of doing a yarn over first, you're going to go into that loop right here and then do your yarn over and pull through. So that way it's connected to the previous stitch. Now go into the next stitch over, yarn over and pull through, and you have your 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and your next double crochet that is linked is done. So let's continue these linked double crochet stitches until the end of the row. So you're just going to continue linking them by looking at that little horizontal bar. You can see how they're all connected with each other now. So you're going to connect them like this, go into the next stitch, and finish it up like a double crochet stitch, right? So remember, you're not just going in here and saying, that's my yarn over. No, no, no. This is just where you're inserting your hook into. You have to do your actual yarn over afterwards, okay? So be aware of that. Otherwise, it'll kind of crunch up. I've seen a few crocheters make that mistake by accident. You go into the horizontal bar, then do your yarn over. That is your yarn over for the double crochet. Go into the next stitch and then continue finishing it up like a normal double crochet after that. So once you reach the end of the row, which I'm about to do, we're going to turn and go into the next row, okay? And the next row is pretty much done the exact same way, and you're going to start with a chain in the beginning again, okay? So right here is my last stitch, and here's how this looks like. You're going to turn. And by the way, if you look a little closer, it also looks like you're making 2 single crochet rows at the same time with like a little line in between. It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? So that really shows you how the double crochet stitch is the height of 2 single crochet rows, pretty much, right? It's really cool. So anyways, you're going to turn, okay, and you're going to make your chain of 2. Doesn't count as a stitch, okay? It's just our foundation in order to get started. So sometimes I know I usually use like an alternative turning chain for like double crochet stitch or something, but for the linked one, this is cleaner. Don't ask me why, it just is a little bit. Okay, so you're going to make your chain of 2, doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to into the second chain from the hook, yarn over and pull through. That's your yarn over for the double crochet stitch. Go into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then finish it up like a double crochet stitch. Now you're going to continue this row after row until you have 4 rows, and it's going to look like this. Okay, so if you don't know how to count your rows for this specific stitch, just look at what I just showed you where the 2 single crochet stitches look like, right? So you can see it right here. This is the very first row. Then this is the back of the row. You can kind of see that this looks like the back, right? And also starts getting a little wavy. It's okay if it's a little wavy. Okay, so this is the first row, this is the second row, this is the third row, and this is the 4th row. So it's 4 rows, okay, of each 17 stitches. So that, if you measure that, is roughly 6 inches across, and It is a little under 3 inches, so 2.75 inches maybe. Okay, so roughly. So just that you have some measurements on what this looks like. Okay, so this is your very first stitch of part 2, the linked double crochet stitch. Now let's head into the regular overlay mosaic crochet technique in rounds. All right, you are now going to work with a graph. So keep in mind that on our website, you cannot print this graph out. Okay, and it's going to look a little pixelated. That's just how it works because it gets a little compressed considering it's on our website. So that way, you know, it speeds up our website. But if you want a printable version of it, you need to join our membership for that in order to have this printed, because for right now, as of making this video, the pattern is not on Ravelry or Etsy. It'll be later there, but not as of right now. It'll take a bit until it's there. So in order to get this printed, join the crochet club and you have this version printed. Okay, so this is the entire graph right here. It looks like a lot, but it really isn't considering we're using bulky yarn. I'm just going to show you here a little tiny small section of it just to get started so that you understand how to do it. I'm not going to crochet the entire piece with you because once you understand the technique, you will not need a full tutorial for it for the entire thing. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a little bit of something, let's say maybe until like the end of round 5 right here. I'll show you so that way you can really see how the technique works. So the very first thing is, and I'm going to show you how it looks like, but I'm not going to crochet for you because it's very easy to understand. You're going to make a chain that is double the amount that it says right here. So you see it says 17 here. You're going to make 34 chains, and then you're going to crochet until you make it into a loop. You're going around, you make it into a loop, and you're going to crochet single crochet stitches. Okay, so it's going to look like this. You're going to start with red, just like it shows you here. Okay, start with red. The next row is going to be white. Okay, and you're going to crochet one round all in white, and then you're going to do one round all in red again. Okay, even though you're going to see some white spots here. So I'll show you in a second how that looks like the first 3 rows. Now let me explain these X's and non-X's if you have never done mosaic crochet before, because trust me, it's actually much easier than it might sound. So pretty much the only thing you need to think about for mosaic crochet, specifically overlay mosaic crochet, regular overlay. So I'm going to write it down for a second so you know, regular overlay mosaic crochet. Okay, so that's specific because there's different types of mosaic crochet. So there's inset mosaic crochet and overlay mosaic crochet, and then within that you also have Tunisian mosaic crochet, you have reversible mosaic crochet, all kinds of different types. Okay, so I'm specifically saying here we're using regular overlay mosaic crochet. Okay, so the only thing for this technique, this is the easiest technique of all of them, okay, is you're going to focus on 2 things. Number 1 is all odd rows. I'm going to write it down here. Odd rows are one color. In this specific one, it's going to be red. All odd rows are red, and all even rows are white. These are the colors I picked. Now, whatever colors you picked, that's what you're going to choose, right? So odd for me is red, even for me is white. Those are the rows, okay? So that's the only thing I'm going to focus on. Rows or rounds, it doesn't really matter, right? The next thing you need to think about, and there's only one more thing you have to think about, and that makes it really, really easy. You're going to look at the entire graph, and you're going to just simply look, does one pixel have an X or not an X? I could give you the entire graph without any red and white on it, and you'll be able to make the exact same thing as me, okay? So regardless of which graph I would be giving you, if you have an entire graph with just, let's say it's a blank graph with just white on it, and the only thing you see is either a blank pixel or a pixel with an X, you would be able to make the exact same crochet image as me. Let me explain. So whenever you see a blank pixel, let me write it over here. Blank means single crochet in back loop only. The only one where you don't do it is down here. So the very first row is just single crochet stitches, regular single crochet stitches, because you have a chain on the bottom. So there is not really like back loop, front loop situation. I actually go in a back bump for that one, right? You need a foundation of something. So that's going to be, I'm just going to call them regular single crochet stitches for the very first row. Starting the second row, that's when you're going to do this. So starting second row or round, doesn't matter. You're going to start with single crochet in a back loop only if the pixel is blank. I don't care what color you see. Pretend there's no colors. Pretend you cannot see colors. The only thing you can see is black and white, okay? So if it's a blank pixel, single crochet in a back loop only. If you see an X on it, like this, then you're going to crochet something called the mosaic double crochet. So mosaic double crochet, if you see an X, it's going to be a mosaic double crochet. What is a mosaic double crochet? A mosaic double crochet is a double crochet in the front loop two rows down. Okay, 2 rows down. So, which means if I take this one as an example right now, okay, you're going to make, there's a front loop right here. Okay, I'll show it to you. I'm just explaining it first so that way you see what you're doing actually, right? Sometimes having it explained first is it easier than later when you see the actual thing happening in crochet. So there's a front loop left over right here. Why? Because everything else is crocheted in single crochet and back loop only. So you have leftover loops. Just like you did when you did thermal crochet. There's a front loop left over, right? Well, same idea here. Your front loops all over, okay? Those front loops will be very helpful. In fact, those are going to be used when you do the double crochet stitches. So when you see an X right here, that is going to be placed into that front loop right there that's left over of the same color. So here, this is row 4 and it's going to go down to 2. Okay, so you're going to make a double crochet down to that front loop. This is a front loop, right? And this is going to be a double crochet into it. Once you've done that, you're going to keep going and look what it says. So yes, there is a white spot right here. And the reason for it is it's because it is overlaid. It is overlaid on top of that red single crochet right behind it. So the image you're seeing is what it's going to look like in the end. Okay, but while you're crocheting it, you're simply going to look, is the pixel blank or does it have an X? If it's blank, single crochet in a back loop only. If it's an X, it's a double crochet 2 rows down into the front loop. That's it. Nothing else you have to think about. I mean, besides when you're changing colors, right? And the changing colors, it only happens at the beginning or the end of the row, however you want to call it. You're going to drop one color, pick one color up, okay? So again, the odd rows are going to be in red for me. The even ones are in white. So I'm going to make the very first 3 rows here by myself so I can show you how it looks like, because it's just single crochet in a back loop only. And then we're going to start with row 4 or round 4 together. But the first thing, remember, you're going to do a chain of 34 and make it into a loop. Okay, that's what the first thing you're going to do. Then we're going to do rows 1, 2, and 3. You're going to do that on your own. And then I'm going to start with round 4. Let me show you how it looks like. Okay, and snap. All right, once you have your very first 3 rounds done, it's going to look like this. Now I used again the invisible slip stitch in order to finish each round. So I recommend doing the same because it's cleaner that way. So you can see here how I literally just drop my loops. I make the loops a little bit bigger and I just drop them. So you have regular single crochet stitches in the very first round, and then starting on the second round, so you can see here is white, is all done in the back loop only, and then the last round that I just did also in red is just in the back loop only. Okay, so that way you have these front loops here left over, and we're going to use them whenever we need to. So we're now going to go into round 4, and we're going to do this one together. So remember, we're doing the entire thing that you see on the graph twice. So 17 stitches across the graph, you're going to have 34 stitches in total. So you're doing the graph twice, whatever you see twice. Okay, so count your stitches. So let's do that together. I literally will count with you. The very first 4 stitches you can see right here are just single crochet in a back loop only. Why? Because there is no X right there. It's blank, 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 which means those 4 blank spots are just single crochet in a back loop only. And it's all done in white because white is an even round. So we're going to just use white. It doesn't matter what color you see over there, okay? So we're going to pick white. So I'm going to just drop my red. Make sure that you don't twist your loops around and things. So I also don't make a chain of 1 here unless you want to. That's fine. I don't. I'm just going to simply go right into the back loop right here. This is the back loop of the very first stitch. Go right into it and make your single crochet in the back loop only, just like that. Okay. So now we're going to do 3 more. So let's do that. So 1, 2, and 3 single crochets in the back loop only, all in white, just like the graph says. Now the graph says, and by the way, you have the written instructions for this too, but I personally prefer the graph, as you can tell. Okay, then you're going to have an X right here. And by the way, the reason I like the graph is because I have a visual representation of what I'm actually crocheting and I can compare it to my work. The written instructions have no image, and the image can be hard to see visually unless you have the actual picture next to you or the graph next to you. So why not just use the graph? That's what I prefer. Okay, so right here is an X on the 5th stitch. So that X means we're going to do a double crochet down to that front loop 2 rows down. So let's do that. So right here is where that next stitch is, and that's the front loop that we're going to use. This one right here. You see that? This is 1 round down. This is 2 rounds. So you're going to make a mosaic double crochet, which is a double crochet into the front loop, 2 rounds down, just like this. And then we're done. That's literally what it is. Okay. Do you see how easy it is? You just follow the graph, exactly what it says. So 4 single crochet in a back loop only, and then a mosaic double crochet. Now let's count how many after you're going to do into single crochet in a back loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blank spots, which means 7 single crochets in a back loop only. So we're going to not use this one, so don't mix it up. You've made a double crochet in front of it, right? So 7 mosaic double crochet stitches after you made the mosaic double crochet stitch. So let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 single crochets in the back loop only. Now we're going to do another mosaic double crochet stitch. Okay, so 2 rows down, you're going to make a double crochet stitch into that front loop right here. So now we're going to continue crocheting single crochet in the back loop only. So we're going to count here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, but remember we're doing the exact same thing twice. So there's 4 over here and then 4 here, which means it's 8. And then we're going to finish the round. So I'm going to just finish the round and I'll show you how to do my invisible slip stitch, and then we'll go into red. Go ahead and finish this round alone, and then we'll go into the next round. All right, once you finish the round, it's going to look like this. So you have these little mosaic double crochet stitches. Should be 2 in the front and 2 in the back if you kind of flatten this in half, right? So that way you can see that you made the graph twice. So once you're at the end here, you're going to do your invisible slip stitch. So let me show you how I do it. I simply go through the entire stitch, the very first stitch. So you see I go through both loops, and I pull my loop back and I make it a little bit bigger so that way I'm not losing it, right? Because I'm dropping that loop, and I'm now going to switch over to red. So however you want to do it, typically I move my white to the other side so that way I'm not twisting my yarns, and I can literally just ignore the white. Okay, so now I'm going into the red. So let's go talk about the next round, because we're going to start right away with a mosaic double crochet stitch. Okay, so for rows, sometimes you have like an edge stitch or something. Well, for rounds, it doesn't quite work that way. Okay, it would look weird if you have an edge stitch right there. So we're going to start with a mosaic double crochet, and that one is done 2 rows down into the front loop of the same color. So whether you're going to say 2 rows down or you're going to say to the same color below it, the next over, I don't care how you want to say, but the point is red goes into red, white goes into white. That's the idea. Okay, so there's a front loop left over right here in row or round 3. We're in round 5 right now, and we're going to make a mosaic double crochet down. Now you can start as an alternative turning chain, or as I do, I just make a chain of 1. I don't write it down, but it can help just to get down there, right? So make a chain of 1. You can do it by connecting first through the back loop. Sometimes that is helpful because that way it's not so pulled, right? So all I do is pull it through the back loop of the very first stitch, like so. You can't see it in the end anyway, so it's fine. Make a chain of 1 so you have enough distance to get down. Okay, and then right here is my red loop. You see it right there? That's my front loop, my leftover front loop. Sometimes it's a little bit hidden, so be careful. But it's typically the one where you pulled your slip stitch into, right? So I have my chain of 1, doesn't count as a stitch, it just helps me get down there. Yarn over and go into that front loop. Sometimes you can also like grab it with a hook. You literally have a hook, so grab it with your hook, right? Either way, however you're going to do it is yarn over, pull through, and now you finish it up like a double crochet stitch. Can you see that? I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Okay, so that's my mosaic double crochet stitch in red. I know this is hard to see, switching back and forth between brightness here. So here's my mosaic double crochet stitch as the very first stitch. Now let's count how many stitches do I have to do on another mosaic double crochet stitch. So let's count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's another mosaic double crochet stitch. So let's do that. So single crochet in a back loop only, 7 of them. So regardless of what you see, doesn't matter what color, you're going to do 7 single crochet in a back loop only stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So counting is very important in mosaic crochet. Please count your stitches, otherwise you're going to make a mistake and something doesn't work up. Now that we did our 7 single crochets in the back loop only, you're going to do another mosaic double crochet, 2 rows down to the same color. So yarn over, go down to that front loop right here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now again, you have to count how many stitches until the next one. Let's do one more time together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 single crochets in the back loop only. Let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now you're going to do another mosaic double crochet stitch. Okay, so yarn over, go 2 rows down. So exactly, this is the next stitch, so just go right below it into that front loop, yarn over, pull through, and finish it up like a double crochet stitch. Now you're going to do this entire graph one more time and finish it up with a slip stitch. Then you're going to switch your colors and you're going to just continue working your entire graph the way you see it, or of course you can also use the written instructions. Okay, and at the very end, after you finish round 29, you're going to continue with red one more time and do 1 row of just single crochet stitches. So let me show you how that looks like in the end. All right, this is how it looks like. You can see it almost matches from height exactly the graph that I printed out for myself. So if you want to see how this looks like in terms of measurements, we have about 6 inches roughly across, right? And in terms of height, we have roughly, what is it exactly? 10.5. I think it's about 10.5 inches in height. Okay, and you can see that the same thing is on the back as in the front. You can see that the slip stitches kind of happened here on the side and it's barely visible, as you can tell. So this is part 2 of the multi-stitch mystery crochet along. You have learned now how to do this one, which is linked double crochet stitches. You learned how to do regular overlay mosaic crochet in rounds. Isn't it easy? It's amazing how easy it is, right? But if you want to know the inside of it, by the way, it has these little let's call them stripes, right? They're all over and that's totally fine. Just keep it that way. Remember to do the very last round of just single crochet stitches. And I specifically said just single crochet stitches. There's no back loop only or something like that. It's just single crochet stitches. That way is a nice even transition from the bottom and top. They're kind of even, right? So that's what you're going to finish up with, and that's how it looks like in the end. So you have here part 2 of overlay mosaic crochet, linked double crochet. You made in part 1 this piece, which was the waistcoat stitch or split single crochet or crochet knit stitch, however you want to say it. And you also made this piece right here. I'm just going to lay it on top because there's not a lot of room. And this one is done in thermal single crochet stitch. So you learned right here 4 different techniques already. Boom! Mind-boggling how much you learned in just a quick little project, and we're not even done yet. We still have part 3 to go. So for now, go ahead and take your picture of part 1 and 2 together. I recommend doing all 4 of them together in one picture, so that way you can show off you did all 4 of them, right? So that way you can post it into the Facebook group called Crocheting with Nikki with the corresponding hashtag you see right there on the screen. I'll literally show you how to post it, and once you post it, I can find you with that hashtag, so that way I can celebrate you. I try my darnest to at least like every single picture that I find with the hashtag. Sometimes I have a chance to even write a comment. I usually hope I do. If I don't be mad. I promise you I see every single one of them because I approve every single one of them. Okay, so thank you guys all for posting your pictures, because you inspire others to join this really fun multi-stitch mystery crochet along. We always have fun here and have a huge blast, and once you take your picture, you are almost there of being qualified for the big giveaway. Remember, we have part 3 coming out in a couple of days, which will finally tell you what the mystery pattern is. In the meantime, you can start guessing. Leave your comments in the Facebook group or down below in the video. Let us know, what do you think we're making? We all want to know your thoughts because we can't read your mind. So leave a comment down below and let us know what you think this pattern will be in the very end. There's actually 2 more parts to go plus assembly. So you're going to learn a little bit more in part 3, and then we're going to put the entire thing together, and then we're done. Then it's party time after that, because this Saturday is going to be the big multi-stitch party with lots and lots of prizes. And if you finish your project and post it into the Facebook group with the corresponding hashtag after part 3 is done, meaning your final image, you are qualified for the big giveaway. So yay! But we also have giveaway prizes after that. So we have a lot of giveaway prizes to give away. So you better show up because it's going to be so much fun. Anyways, in the meantime, go ahead and like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the bell to get a notification next time we publish a video or go live. I'll see you in part 3. Now go ahead and crochet. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.